Betfas, the greatest 3.0 Xbow cycle player in the world. SK555, the greatest 3.0 Xbow cycle videos in the world. Together, we make a pretty good combo. Today, I'll be showing you how Betfas pushed up to #1 in the world in yet another impossible meta. You have shown me that you consistently love this series so much, and so I'm trying to make you all happy by bringing you a mid-season Betfas video, before we even get into end season. Make sure you let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite period of the year. Betfas is here and we are going to be covering his games. I was talking to Betfas and he told me that he's going to be pushing up to #1 in the world. At least that's the goal with 3.0 Xbow cycle. Mind you, we are now in one of the worst metas this deck has seen. I know we sing the same song every single season, but look at the meta, man. Golden Knight, Evo Ghost, Evo Pigs. It is not looking good. Hog EQ, Pigs EQ. This is a rough meta for Xbow, recruits as well, and somehow, someway, Betfas finds a way to deliver every single season. This time, I wanted to bring you guys a little present before Christmas. We're going to be covering Betfas while he pushes up. So he's right now just about top 50. Again, he told me that his goal is #1 in a difficult meta. He always tells me if he thinks the meta is difficult, and he did say so just now, so we'll see exactly how he's able to do so. I'll be here walking you guys through his thought process, his gameplay, and giving you my personal analysis and insight on the plays into our first match here against Rev Yoru. Medals wise, I think he's at about 31, 3200 right now. And again, the goal is 3300 or above, #1 or nothing. So Yoru, formerly known as Nexus, you guys might have actually heard of him. He used to play Queenbow. He has, I want to say, a #1 or #2 finish with Queenbow. I forgot which one it was, but I think a #1 with E-Giant actually. But he basically went from Queenbow to an E-Giant player. I guess it's the Tornado pipeline. And as you can see, he's very clearly playing an E-Giant deck. Usually if it's like Goblin Cage, Evo Baby Dragon, you know it's some kind of beatdown. But the Bowler just tells you that it's E-Giant because they get those Bowler Tornado combinations. It just gets like crazily annoying. So nice Gold Knight NATO on those Evo Archers by Yoru. As you can see here, guys, we are in the new update where cards and evolutions have new animations. Look at that beautiful Evo Tesla Pulse. Not the last we'll be seeing of that. I actually really like it. That's probably my favorite new animation in the update. You guys can let me know if you have any favorite ones. But right now, really nice early lead here. Just some nice pressure at the start with non-Xbow cards by Betfas. Here he intentionally goes for an Xbow, even though he knows Yoru has the E-Giant in cycle. Mainly, I think, just to force it out and not let Yoru build up a big push with that Bowler. Gold Knight plus Tornado, very balanced combination. Look at that, guys. High skill, guaranteed connection on the tower, but look at this. Because Betfas distracted Yoru with everything in the left, he's now able to force that Bowler King Tower activation. Take note of that Tesla placement to activate King against Bowler, and that's going to help him out a lot in the rest of this match. So not only was the purpose of that Expo to not let Yoru build up a big push with that Bowler, you know, E-Giant Bowler Lightning or something scary, but also it was to force that Bowler King Tower activation where Yoru was forced to go, you know, E-Giant, Golden Knight, even went with the Tornado to get the damage, which did work out, but I think that was a worthwhile trade. A few hundred HP for a King Tower activation, that is huge. Now Betfas just throws a Fireball casually. Will he Expo? Yes, he goes Expo, even though Yoru has both Bowler and Golden Knight in cycle. Notice, guys, Betfas is not going for aggressive Knight or Tesla at the bridge. He instead saved his Evo Archers, and this actually looks really scary for Yoru. Really ridiculous Golden Knight ability, or rather really scary for Betfas. Really good for Yoru because he has a whole E-Giant coming down. That's going to be a Lightning hitting the left side tower because he just wants that tower damage. And now Betfas kind of has to defend this, which should be fine, again, with the King Tower helping out. See the difference? He probably would have had to play a Tesla or Archers or a bit more commitment on that E-Giant, but because there was no need with the King Tower, he's able to conserve resources, and that's just a big help. Again, Expo forcing out an E-Giant and straight up goes for the Fireball cycle. Now, this is going to be an interesting spell cycle race because Yoru does have the Lightning, which clearly outdamages the Fireball, but Betfas has the X factor, the log. So just Fireball versus Lightning, I would say Yoru would definitely lose, or Yoru would definitely win against Betfas in that spell cycle race. Lightning cycle versus Fireball cycle, but because of the log, slow, just 59 damage of chip over time, I think that can make all the difference in the world, and that's kind of the goal right now. So really nice Archers, as you can see, low, but they will get susceptible to a Golden Knight. Unfortunately, this is going to be tough. We get a nice log down low on everything, beautiful log value, just beautiful micro, Knight super high up to prevent any kind of Bowler Tornado shenanigans, and now Yoru resets, and Betfas just doesn't even care. He's just throwing Fireballs. So notice, guys, Yoru has his damage in the same lane, so Betfas is not going Expo. I feel like a lot of you guys would just pressure with Expos, which can be a good play, but in this case, same lane, You don't, and Betfas is just shamelessly chucking fireballs to the tower. How many fireballs is that? That's like 5 or 6 so far, and he's somehow going to defend this as well. That Evo Baby D is really scary. Hold up. Needs a Tesla here. That's the only way he can defend. He does get that Tesla down. Needs to prevent this Golden Knight dash, and he does so. And Bowler with the tornado is also risky, so he needs to not get a Bowler tornado. Doesn't happen. Gets yet another fireball. And somehow, some way, he defends. I think that King Tower was a huge part of that. But he clearly just goes for the fireball cycle. That is how you play that matchup. Not a good matchup. E-Giant Golden Knight Lightning still finds a way to win against Yoru. Alright, we are now 3,200 medals, making our way up there, and next game is up against Brian from Walking Legends. Never heard of this guy before, but Drill should definitely be a difficult matchup no matter what it is. You can see that the Knight would have full countered that Drill, unless it was a true red, true blue thing, but Betfas goes for the log. Just a safe play, no need to be overly conservative, just go safe, don't take damage at the start, and get damage. So he gets a nice fireball on the Dart Goblin, and so I know this deck is going to be Drill, Scaly King, Inferno Tower. This is a really OG deck, but of course there are some new evolutions here. Evo Wallbreakers, I want to say probably with the Evo Snowball, or maybe like Evo Skarmy because he has a Scaly King. Evo Skarmy really broken. Good ways to contend with that with Expo though, so we'll see. Yep, I was right, there's the Evo Skarmy. E-Spirit comes down, Scaly King ability is going to be in full force. We should see some archers on this Drill, yes we do, and we can just get a nice log on everything, Skellies plus log. As you can see, no damage taken, although, okay yeah, no damage taken, really good micro. Forced to either go for a fireball or a Tesla on these wall breakers, does so. Really good defense by Betfas. You can see again the philosophy in these matches. Depends on the matchup, guys. Against Beatdown, sometimes you want to sack damage and go super aggressive with Expos, but against these Cycle or Cycle-esque decks, like, you know, this Drill deck, you really want to defend as much as you can in single. Same applies to Hoggy Q and 2.6 Hog. You do not want to take damage in single. You want to prevent as much as possible, and again, you want to get damage yourself by going for, you know, fireballs on Dark Goblins and stuff like that. Look at this patience, guys. No need to go for an Expo yet, so Betfas has not gone for a single Expo. We're about to enter Double Elixir in 20 seconds, and he's still just being really patient. Also, Brian here does have arrows. That is not what you want to see as an Expo player, but it just is what it is. Beautiful log value and really nice micro. E-Spirit plus Skellies. Again, no damage taken. I think that was just arrows and Drill spawn damage, so beautiful micro. One of the biggest things against Drill that Betfas himself taught me, the only way you're going to win against these hard matchups is if you have perfect micro on every single Drill defense. Evo Tesla preemptively cycled up high. I guess that was to predict the Evo Wallbreakers on Brian's side to kite the Knight back. Really good awareness of the opponent's cycle. And now he splits Evo Archers. I think we're about to see an Expo in the right. Yes, we do. Skellies to block. Yup, because the Inferno Tower is in this deck. As you can see, he just went Skeletons. He didn't go Expo plus Knight. He didn't know what the opponent was going to go for. He just went Expo plus Skeletons. Skeletons do catch that. And now Brian is forced to go for a really bad Fireball. I mean, it does do the job, but he's down so much elixir. Protection of the Evo Archer. Evo Archer still going strong. I believe Evo Skarmy in cycle for Brian right now, but Betfas just has him in a chokehold. There's the Evo Skarmy. We do see that log, and we should see an E-Spirit, hopefully. No, Evo Archers do take out that general Skeleton ability. Not really what you want to go for against Expo. It just gets melted. Arrows, we should see an Expo at 6, because again, he is up so much elixir right now, is Betfas. Skellies to predict the Inferno Tower. Sacks the Wallbreakers in the left. You can see he's not worried about that. He's just going to go all in, because this Expo, yup, is guaranteed to lock on, and that is game. So guys, a less experienced Expo player might have gone for overcommit on those wall breakers. Instead, Betfas, knowing that this is going to be the game-winning Expo, sacks that one wall breaker hit and gets a full Expo lock, and that is going to be game. That's just going to be 2 fireballs. The opponent, Brian, is still going to be trying for whatever reason, but obviously not going to work out. This is just a masterclass of how to play both single and double. Hopefully this helps you guys out as a good blueprint against different decks, because that was just honestly a masterclass. You guys can say Glaze, you guys can say Dunkin' Donuts, whatever. I don't care. That was perfect gameplay, and I'm going to state that. So very well played by Betfas. Very nice against another hard matchup. Alright, Betfas versus Gaki. This guy has a top 20 ladder finish, and I remember what deck it's with. This guy's actually a very old pro player. He's Japanese, and I believe that he used to play Hog, Ice Wiz, Tornado, Tombstone, Rocket. You guys remember that deck was called Tower Tornadoes in the CRL challenge. Look like he's playing Pig's Lightning right now. Should be an interesting match to see how Betfas plays. It's actually very important to know how to play against in the current meta, so should be a good one. But I remember this guy. Before I was a casual, little story time for you guys, or before I was a competitive player in this game, you could say, before I actually had any rank finishes at all, I used to just play casually with my friends at school, but of course I wanted to get better at the game. So sometimes when I was bored, I'd walk down to my local KFC. I used to get Froyo, and I would just watch Top Ladder TV Royale. That used to be my entertainment when I was in high school, when I was like quite a bit younger. Like I want to say 6 years ago, maybe, like quite a while ago, 7 years ago. And so I remember Gaki playing Hog, Rocket, Ice Wiz, Tornado back then. So he's actually a very good player, long-time player of this game, and this should be an interesting matchup. So basically, against this one, I believe it should all boil down to spell cycle again. You know, in the drill game, for example, of course, it's about Expo locks. In the E-Giant game, it's about spell cycle. You guys really have to determine what you're going to go for. You should have a blueprint against every kind of deck in the game. And this doesn't mean you have to have an exact blueprint against every single exact deck. There are way too many permutations of cards in this game for you to be able to have a game plan against every single card. And yo, hold up, that Evo Ghost is not visible, so really nice cycle awareness of Betfas. You know, Barb Barrel doesn't come out immediately, and Ghost doesn't come out immediately, so Betfas with that cycle tracking looks like he caught Gaki at a really bad spot, barely didn't get anything down in time for the Expo, sneaks a little lock in there, and that's going to be really useful for the rest of the game. But I was saying that you should have a blueprint of how to play pretty much every single match, or if not an exact deck, at least archetype of deck, like, you know, Lightning cycle decks, Hog Lightning, Royal Hogs Lightning, or all of this. You want to go for Expos to pressure, and realistically, you're going to get damaged by going for your fireballs on the tower. So the goal of this game is to, number one, go opposite lane. So Betfas does not want to go same lane, because if he does, then Gaki is just going to be able to lightning his Expo in his weak side tower. So as you can see, Gaki's trying to switch into Betfas's lane. Betfas not really letting that happen. Gaki does have the lightning, like I said, that is his last card. He does actually use that. Very interesting late lightning. Not really sure why he would do that. Betfas can choose go for an Expo right now because Gaki, he does have a really fast cycle, but again, just really good cycle counting by Betfas. Wow, Gaki had nothing in hand. Again, late Barb Barrel comes down, and that is on the tower is the Expo, so actually, I was just talking so much praise, speaking highly of this person, but he's really not playing that well against Betfas, or rather, Betfas just making him look really bad, I guess. So Pig's opposite lane, good pressure, should be a fireball because you don't really want to take that damage. No, he's actually going to sack that damage. Might I say this is a bit of a misplay, because realistically, that fireball as well, like, Betfas really tried to sneak a lock in there, but objectively, I feel like it would have been better to just go for a fireball on those pigs and not take all that damage, because look at this. He doesn't really get anything out of the sequence. I mean, he's going to keep the pressure up, but I don't know if it was worth it taking all that damage just for a little bit of an Expo lock. I personally would not say it was. Evo Pigs played, really good counter, just fireball, you have to, honestly. If you don't have Evo Tesla in cycle, this I was taught by a very good friend of mine, 7-4. You guys will see a video with him on the channel soon as well. I was taught that against Evo Pigs with 3.0, you either Evo Tesla in the perfect spot, which is not hard to find, or not easy to find. It's very easy to mess that spot up. Or you fireball them. There's no in between. Here we get a fireball, and see, this is actually getting kind of sketchy now. Betfas was playing so well before this, but the problem is that because he took all that damage, it's actually a pretty close game now. So I want to say a slight, tiny mistake, a bit of a misjudgment there by Betfas, and that might actually end up costing him more than he'd like. Nope, really good fireball Evo Tesla. That's going to get on top of the tower right as I was maybe giving an SK commentator's curse. He gets a lock. Really good use of the Evo Tesla and fireball to catch off guard. Pretty good game against Pig's Lightning. That is a common meta deck, so you guys need to know how to play against that. Alright, Betfas versus Sandbox. Betfas creeping up into that 3,300 medals range. Absolutely insane. For reference, guys, I am at 2,365. Granted, I've been so busy with final exams, but he is quite literally almost 1,000 medals above me. That is crazy to think about. I haven't had time to push, and even if I did, I would not get close to where Betfas is right now. Sandbox is going to be an amazing opponent for Betfas. Very formidable, very talented player. Good friend of mine as well. I met him at Worlds this year, and he was at World Finals, if you guys saw by that badge on his profile earlier, so should be a very interesting match because, again, Sandbox, one of the best players in the world by definition. I believe he was around top 8, top 6 in CRL this year. I don't have the exact rank on top of my head, but looks like he is playing Hyper Bait, and I'm excited for you guys to see this because this is one of the most toxic archetypes of Clash Royale, period. There are no exceptions. I personally really hate Hyper Bait. I think it should be dead. I don't think decks like this should be viable. You know, Evo Wallbreakers, Evo Ghost, or Evo Skelly Barrel, Evo Ghost, or Boss Bandit Wallbreakers, Bush Spam. It's not healthy for the game. It's toxic. It's ridiculous. It leans on the Cannoneer for defense, but one of the good parts, if you play correctly, it is definitely Expo's matchup, and so this is not a spell cycle game. It can be, but this is the kind of matchup where you recognize they have Hyperbait, they have like a 2.1 elixir cycle deck, and so what you want to do is just absurd Expo pressure, and you will probably win off of one nice Expo push. Think of it like kind of beatdown, instead of just Expo cycle, if that makes sense. Like, you kind of just defend, you bide your time for the perfect moment, and when that moment strikes, you just get a really good Expo push, and that should be game winning, honestly. So crazy pressure by Sandbox. Betfas does take a bit of damage in the left, will take that Evo Scalar Barrel drop damage in the right as well. Evo Ghost still going strong. That card is a very balanced card. I'm very glad that card was added to the game. But by virtue of the Cannoneer, you can see Betfas hasn't used a single Fireball, hasn't used a single Xbow. He's not being overly aggressive. He's not just spell cycling randomly. He's playing very intentionally. He's playing defensively, and he's biding his time. This is like what a beatdown player would do in a certain situation, you know? You would just kind of cycle, get to your Evos. I think Betfas probably wants to use his Evo Archers and or Evo Tesla on offense. You can see Sandbox now just cycling like crazy, which is kind of working out for him, and he's getting so much pressure on the board, but I think Betfas is cooking something big right now. I think we're about to see a really big punish come down. Maybe even right now on the right side with that one Archer, or even if not, it's totally fine. He's just going to keep being patient, and if the game keeps going on like this, if Betfas just defends the whole game, he will win the game, because again, he Cannoneer. But now he finally does get that Evo Tesla along with the Expo, and this honestly should be game over. Like, Sandbox is doing a great job defending. He's going to try to defend, but it's just not going to be enough. He just doesn't have Elixir. He doesn't have the right cycle, and that Evo Tesla, just Sandbox can't do anything. Like, anything he played just now would have gotten fireballed or logged. You can see that was, what, 3 minutes straight, guys, of patience before Betfas went for the Expo, and then that Expo just won in the game, exactly like I predicted this game would go. So just keep that in mind. That is the optimal playstyle against Hyperbait. Hope it helps you guys out. Alright, it seems like we are running it back. We have Gaki again. You guys remember what he was playing the first time? Pigs, Lightning, Evo Ghost, Evo Royal Hogs, Goblin Hut. Should be a very interesting matchup, because now I think Gaki should play the match a bit differently. Betfas as well, I think he's going to learn from that mistake, not take a lot of damage from one push. Again, I'm not really trying to criticize him and say I know better than him, but just from my observations, I feel like that was a bad decision, and he probably recognizes that too because of how the trade kind of panned out. But we'll be able to see even more insight on this matchup, which I think is a good thing, because again, this is a very popular deck. Probably not in mid-ladder or low-ladder. Like, I want to say below 2,600 medals on ladder, you probably won't see this matchup much. But once you reach higher ladder, top ladder, you will. This is a pretty good cycle deck, one of the best in the meta right now, so it's going to be pretty important to know how to play against at the top level. And even if not, I feel like no matter what matchups you're playing, just watching how Expo Cycle is played at the top level is pretty important and pretty useful in terms of teaching you how to play this deck, period. So one thing I've noticed, Gaki did sub out those that Evo Ghost for those Evo Skeletons, and now he has a Mighty Miner. Looks like he was maybe trying to snipe some kind of beatdown player, or just switching variations, wasn't feeling the Evo Ghost. But either way, what I personally think this should make for this matchup, I think it's both neutral, like it's both positive and negative, but it should be a net benefit. Because Mighty Miner is one more elixir than Royal Ghost, so that's obviously just more elixir for a tank. The one benefit of playing against Ghost from Expo's perspective is that Ghost is invisible, and you actually saw that happen quite a few times. Betfas got sneaky locks in because the Ghost quite literally was not physically visible to tank for the Expo. But at the same time, Mighty Miner is not the most optimal Expo tank by any means. Look at that, by the way. That is what looks to be the perfect Evo Tesla placement against Evo Royal Hogs. As you can see with a Knight, it does full counter them, and you are going to have to overcommit against Evo Pigs, guys. You just have to. It's such a broken card. It's 2 cycles, so it's not like you have to face it every single time either way. You should just overcommit to defend. Remember what I was talking about against those cycle decks like the Drill? You want to defend every bit of damage if you can. That's why, again, tying back to that mistake that I noticed, I feel like it was a bit of a mistake because you don't want to take that much damage. You want to always kind of win the chip damage war, if I can speak to 2018 OJ terms. If you guys remember Orange Juice's old content, I used to watch that myself. But you want to win the chip battle war. You want to not take damage, you want to solely get damage yourself. And so you can see that Betfas' towers are untouched. Gaki choosing not to go for the lightnings, it looks like, and Betfas just content to keep this pressure up. Bridge block against that Mighty. Does he have an Evo Tesla? Goes for a really nice fireball on the Mighty and Goblin Hut, and does catch that Barb Barrel. Very important to catch Barb Barrels, guys. And I think Betfas is in a great spot. He can probably go for an Expo in the left just to keep the pressure up. That's what I would do if I was him. Yep. As you can see, Expo to pressure, keeps it going in both lanes, and so now Gaki's elixir and resources are spread kind of thin. He can choose to lightning this Expo if he wants to, but he's probably going to try and get away without doing so. Really good skellies to protect that one Archer, and now I think Betfas goes for yet another Expo in the right, and this one should be kind of devastating. No, we see the Tesla instead. Might I say a slight mistake, but maybe not, because he still gets the Expo pressure at the end of the day, and Gaki kind of deciding, does he want to go for a lightning on the Expo? Tries to go for the Barbell and the Evo Archers instead. Not really the most advised play, because he's down so much elixir. That is finally a good Expo lock. gives the well played. That was really good by Betfas. Prediction log on the E-Spirit. Oh my word, he knew. He knew. Guys, at the top level, you are counting Cycle and Elixir. That, okay, I have to say, that was insane. I really do not care if you guys say that's glazed. Whatever you want to say, that was insane, dude. So now the game is definitely over. And I feel like Gaki, he definitely could have Lightning. You guys might be saying, SK, he has Lightning in this deck. It's a good Xbow counter. Why didn't you just go for the Lightning on the Xbow? To be honest, I feel like he probably should have at some point, but I think what he was scared of was probably just Betfas getting too much momentum. Also, really nice archers cutting that Mighty Miner out of range. You guys saw that subtle play. Fireball to try and catch off guard, get a lock in there. Not really going to happen, but again, Gaki just, if he went for Lightning on one side, Betfas pretty much always had 2 Xbows at any given time. So it wouldn't have even been that fruitful because it just would have meant he was down 6 Elixir to defend the next Expo. So Betfas kind of positioned himself, postured himself in a way where he was able to just keep up the Expo pressure the entire time, and Gaki just was not able to do anything. This is honestly quite a perfect game against this matchup, although again, I do think it's going to be harder when they have Evo Ghost over Mighty Miner. I forgot to say, because again, Mighty's 1 more Elixir. It's not really like a Knight where it's 3 Elixir good tank, it's 4, and the ability isn't all that useful either, so that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. But good game by Gaki, good on him for being good sport again. He is a good person, he's respectful, he's a top player. Very well done by Betfas. We have 2 examples of this matchup now. Again, it's Pigs Lightning. It's not a major difference, Mighty Miner versus Ghost at the end of the day. That just shows you how to play it with Expo pressure. If they ever do over-aggressively Lightning you, you keep the pressure up, you win on the other side. Betfas is... Whoa, wait, why are we against Gaki again? Okay, what is happening? I don't know what's happening, but we are against Gaki again. But I know I got a comment on one of my last Betfas videos. I'm sorry, guys. I know sometimes I start the game a few minutes in or like a few seconds in. Like this time I'm 1.5 minutes late. Sometimes my game has weird issues where the cards are glitched or it just doesn't load. In that case, I'm not really able to get the full game. In other cases, you guys have to remember, I try and do this as a courtesy to you guys. It is not easy for me to sync my schedule with Betfas halfway across the world with time zones and everything to know exactly when he's going to play every match. Sometimes he gets off for a while and comes back on. I really do my best to give you guys what you want with the Betfas videos, and I try and show as much gameplay as I can. So sometimes, if I'm physically unable to do that, I do apologize, but just understand, guys, I really try my best. Like, I do everything for you guys to make this series the best series on the channel, or one of them, but it pretty much is the best performing series on the channel overall. So that's why I'm excited to do this one right now. Hopefully he has an Evo Tesla for this. No, he goes for the E-Spirit, Knight, and a late Tesla. That's an off-meta way to deal with the Evo Pigs, I guess. But again, whoa, Evo Archers coming in the right. Looks like Gaki kind of spread himself a bit too thin. Really bad Evo Skellies into that E-Spirit as well, or would this Betfas predict the Evo Skellies with the E-Spirit? I don't even know, but can we go back to the point where he's playing the same dude, number 1, 3 times in one video? This is one SK555. This is one ladder push. And again, Betfas hasn't lost. He's like number 4 in the world right now. I think I forgot to mention that. But yeah, this dude is not losing. Number 4 in the world. And he's faced the same guy twice in a row. Like, there are no gaps between the last game and this one. So I'm kind of surprised, kind of impressed about matchmaking, I guess. I don't even know. But it looks like now, because Betfas got that sneaky Evo Archer chip, he doesn't even have to go in, although that Lightning was a bit too aggressive, so now Betfas will punish, and the reason this X was on the left side instead of the right side is because he wants to force out a Lightning potentially in the other side, because of course Gaki wants to keep the pressure up in the left side, right? But Betfas, or in the right side, same lane as Betfas, because Betfas has damage there, but Betfas does not want to give him that Lightning value on the Xbow and the weak side tower, so that's why he's kind of doing this opposite lane pressure, if that makes sense to you guys. Really good E-Spirit by Gaki, but the Knight is getting 2-3 hits there. That's a lot of damage, dude. So now Betfas, with this good pressure, can switch into the left side. Will he take a fireball on this Mighty? I want to say no. It's a bit early, but once we hit triple elixir, you guys might start seeing those fireballs pour down on those Mighty Miners. We'll have to see. But as of right now, Evo Piggies. Hopefully has an Evo Tesla for that. If not, yeah, okay, looks like if they don't have an Evo Tesla, guys, what Betfas likes to do is E-Spirit plus Knight and then like late log. That seems to be the best, kind of suboptimal, but the best way to defend Evo Pigs if your cycle isn't conducive to defending Evo Pigs, if that makes sense. Fireball comes down to that Ice Wizard, looking really good so far for Betfas. I mean, Gaki can probably come back. All he really has to do is get a few Lightnings in here, maybe get an Evo Pigs connection, but Betfas should probably do his best to, number 1, full defend. He cannot take another bit of pig damage. No piggies nibbles, no matter what. There, he takes a very safe fireball, and then an Xbow, because Gaki, yep, he's probably going to lightning back, seeing Betfas use the fireball, but that was a bit too aggressive. Again, nothing in cycle to defend the Xbow, and Betfas just capitalized. Really well done. That's 3 for 3, guys, so if you guys don't know how to play against this matchup, you better know how to play against it after this game. I mean, after this video, even I should be winning this matchup, because those were 3 masterclass games, so very well played by Betfas, and let's see where he's at in the world right now. All right, so number 2 in the world, quite literally number 2. Crazy moves by Betfas. He is 1 game away from number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we are into the game for number 1 against who this looks like a good matchup finally after a bunch of bad ones. E-Giant, Golden Knight, Lightning, Pigs, Lightning, Drill, Fireball, Arrows. This looks good, although the Sandbox matchup was definitely good, Hyper Bait. But who, known to be one of the best bait players in the world, I would say he's probably second best right now behind Riley. And he usually plays bait no big spell, like no rocket. So this is like classic bait. But instead of the rocket, he has an Evo Dark Goblin, and so that means instead of, Evo Ice or Evo Knight, he only has 1 Evo slot because Evo Dark Goblin, right? So this looks pretty promising for Betfas. This is kind of the same principle as Hyper Bait, where you think of it like beatdown, guys. You don't spell cycle. You could, of course, spell cycle. You can probably just like defensive Exo all game and fireball cycle, but that's not really the optimal way to play this matchup. What you'll see Betfas doing is he's trying to get back to his Evo Tesla. Then he's going to go for an Expo plus Evo Tesla punish, and that's pretty much impossible for who to stop. Really good, perfectly timed E-Spirit plus Skellies to full counter the Goblin Barrel. Here we see another Expo, and I think this Expo won't really break through, but the next one definitely will, because every time has to defend an Expo, it's just a negative trade. Of course, it's really annoying defending against this from his side, but also from Betfas' perspective. Trying to break through against someone who's really good at defending Expos is really annoying. Really good log, though. Hold up on that Princess. And now he has an Evo Tesla in cycle. You can see he pre-cycled that Tesla earlier. So should see an Evo Tesla come down any second now for this. Skellies come down. Look at that perfectly timed Skellies to full counter spears. All of them target 1. Expo does lock on who has no elixir. And even if he did get that Inferno Tower on the Expo instead, Betfas does have that Evo Tesla in cycle. Doesn't even use it, though. That is just... I mean, this matchup's really good, though, but Betfas, of course, have to put in the work to get this high. who not so happy about that, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a number 1 in the world ranking. Let's take a look at the leaderboards. Yep, number 1 in the world on his profile, as you guys can see, about a week left in the season. Number 1 on ladder. Betfas does it again.